My stepdaughter invited her father to her wedding instead of me, even after I gifted her a house, so I gave her a gift that made her big day collapse. I gifted my stepdaughter a house, but she uninvited me from her wedding. Now, I'm taking back everything I gave. I, a 62-year-old man, am dealing with a challenging situation with my stepdaughter. I have been married to her mother, Sarah, for 15 years. My first wife, Emily, died of cancer when I was 45. Emily and I were high school sweethearts who were married for 25 beautiful years. We never had children because of Emily's health problems. After Emily died, I was devastated and devoted myself to my career as a real estate developer. 3 years later, Sarah and I met at a charity event. She was energetic, friendly, and had a 10-year-old daughter named Lily. We hit it off right away, and I felt drawn to both of them. Sarah had been struggling as a single mom. Tom, Lily's biological father, left her when she was 2 years old. He would come and go in their lives but never offered genuine support. I saw an opportunity to rediscover love and be the father figure Lily needed. Lily and I developed a close relationship over time. I assisted her with her homework, attended her school functions, and was present for every milestone. I paid for her college education so she could have every opportunity in life. Lily is now 25 and engaged to a nice young man named Mike. To show my support and affection, I decided to give them a house as a pre-wedding gift. It's a lovely home in a pleasant area, ideal for beginning their new life. However, when the wedding invitations arrived, I was astonished and extremely disappointed to learn that I was not invited. At first, I assumed it was a mistake. Surely, after all these years, Lily would not exclude me from her special day. I am at a loss. I've always treated Lily like my own daughter, and I assumed she saw me as a parent. Now, I'm wondering if I should take back the house I gave them. It's not about the money. I'm fortunate that finances aren't an issue. It's the underlying principle. I feel misled and underappreciated. Am I overreacting? Should I confront Lily about this or simply accept her decision and move on, even if it means returning my gift? I recall when I first met Lily, she was timid and apprehensive, hiding behind Sarah's legs, but she eventually opened up to me. I remember teaching her how to ride a bike and seeing the satisfaction in her eyes when she finally balanced without training wheels. I was there on her first day of high school, reassuring her when she was concerned about fitting in. When she suffered her first heartbreak at 16, I was the one who sat with her, offering ice cream and a listening ear. We had our own traditions too. Every Sunday, we had a family game night. Lily insisted on playing the banker in Monopoly, and we would giggle at how seriously she took her role. On her 18th birthday, I surprised her with a car, not fancy, but dependable. The sight of utter excitement on her face when I handed her the keys is something I'll always remember. When Lily was accepted to college, we celebrated as a family. I recall her hugging me firmly and whispering, "Thank you, Dad," into my ear. It was the first time she'd called me Dad, and it meant everything to me. All these memories weigh heavily on me, turning the present turmoil into an even deeper source of torment. It's incomprehensible to me how she could overlook the countless trials we've navigated side by side, the unbreakable bonds we've forged over the years, the mere idea of missing out on her wedding day, not being the one to escort her gracefully down the aisle, not sharing that cherished father-daughter dance under twinkling lights, pierces my heart like a dagger. I've long held the conviction that true family transcends mere biological ties. It's woven from threads of unwavering love, steadfast support, and an unyielding commitment to stand together amid life's storms and joys alike. I had always believed that Lily shared this philosophy with me, that our connection was rooted in those very principles. Yet now, shadows of doubt cloud every recollection, making me question the very foundation of what we built. A fierce internal conflict rages within me. One voice urges me to storm ahead, to confront her without delay and insist on a full accounting of her actions, while another, more timid part recoils in fear of the truths that might spill forth. What if, in her response, she confesses that she never truly regarded me as her father, that our shared history was somehow insufficient in her eyes? What if this deliberate exclusion is her subtle, or not-so-subtle signal that I no longer hold a place in her definition of family? I confided in Sarah about these swirling anxieties, but she appeared reluctant to wade into the fray, her responses measured and evasive. She suggested that the only path forward was for me to engage Lily directly, to bridge the chasm with open dialogue. But how is that even feasible when my attempts to reach her, calls left unanswered, texts met with silence, echo back into the void? The home I generously provided for them was intended as a tangible emblem of my devotion, a sanctuary symbolizing my wholehearted endorsement of their fresh start in life. In this moment, however, it stands as a poignant monument to my isolation, a structure that now underscores my banishment from their world. The notion of reclaiming it strikes me as vindictive and small-minded, a petty retaliation born of pain, yet to relinquish it entirely feels like an endorsement of her choice to sever our ties, as if I'm conceding defeat without a fight. Looking back, I never envisioned myself ensnared in such emotional quicksand when I first exchanged vows with Sarah and stepped into the role of a guiding presence in Lily's young life. From the outset, I pledged my complete devotion to embodying the essence of a father, pouring my energy into nurturing her growth with the same fervor I would for any child of my blood. Over the span of 15 years, that affection has blossomed into something profound and irreplaceable. I've cherished her joys and shouldered her sorrows as if she were my own flesh and blood. It's utterly devastating to witness such a vital part of my world being cast aside so casually, as though the depth of our shared experiences could be erased with a single decision. Is it unjust for me to contemplate withdrawing the house from their possession, to reclaim what I once offered in good faith? Does it cross a line to yearn for acknowledgement of the pivotal role I've enacted in shaping her path? Ought I to simply step back and allow her wedding to unfold as she desires, even if it exacts the toll of my physical and emotional absence from the celebration? These questions tear at me relentlessly, leaving me adrift in indecision. An impartial viewpoint from others might illuminate the fog, helping me discern the right course amid this labyrinth of hurt. After wrestling with these dilemmas for what felt like an eternity, I resolved to initiate a direct conversation with Lily regarding her decision to bar me from the wedding festivities. Regrettably, this endeavor proved far more arduous than I had anticipated, fraught with obstacles that tested my patience to its limits. Lily seemed intent on evading me entirely, her absence from our usual channels of communication a deliberate wall. My voicemails lingered unheard, my messages scrolled past without reply. It was as if overnight, the girl I knew had transformed into an enigmatic outsider, distant and unknowable. In my mounting frustration and raw anguish, I sought solace and clarity from Sarah, my wife, hoping her insight might pierce the veil of confusion. Her revelation hit me like a thunderbolt, leaving me reeling in disbelief. It turned out that Lily harbored a desire to extend an invitation to her biological father, Tom, for the wedding, the very same individual who had callously deserted her and Sarah when Lily was barely out of diapers, leaving scars that time had only partially healed. Sarah disclosed that Lily had been maintaining clandestine correspondence with Tom for nearly a year now, a secret alliance that had simmered beneath the surface of our family life. He had resurfaced out of the blue, spinning tales of personal transformation and a fervent longing to atone for the past, to weave himself back into the fabric of Lily's existence. As Sarah recounted it, Tom had explicitly voiced his aspiration to resume a meaningful role, culminating in the honor of walking her down the aisle on her most special day, a gesture laden with symbolic weight. The shock of this disclosure coursed through me like ice water. For so many years, Tom had epitomized failure in the realm of fatherhood, a phantom whose unreliability had inflicted wounds on Lily time and again. Vividly, I recall the long, somber evenings when I would sit by her side, offering gentle reassurance after he shattered yet another fragile promise of a visit, his absences etching lines of disappointment on her young face. I was the constant in her life, the one who celebrated her initial romantic heartache with empathetic listening, who beamed with pride at her high school commencement, who cheered loudest when college acceptance letters arrived in the mail. These were milestones Tom opted to bypass entirely, his priorities forever skewed toward his own pursuits, rather than the sacred duties of parenthood. His track record as a father was a litany of shortcomings. Not a dime in child support ever materialized, appearances on birthdays or holidays were sporadic at best, and his focus always seemed riveted on self-interest over selfless care. One can't help but scrutinize the authenticity of his abrupt epiphany. What hidden motives lurk behind this professed metamorphosis after decades of indifference? Learning of Lily's year-long covert exchanges with Tom cut almost as deeply as the wedding snub itself, a double betrayal that gnawed at my trust. I had always prided myself on the closeness we shared, a bond where vulnerabilities were laid bare without reservation, where she could confide in me about the grandest dreams or the smallest fears. To uncover that she had concealed this monumental reconnection for so long felt like a profound violation, a fracture in the intimacy we had cultivated. Still, I strived to empathize with Lily's perspective, to step into her shoes for a moment. The pull toward reconciling with a biological parent is a force of nature, an innate yearning that defies logic at times, especially when laced with the hope of closure or redemption. Yet, against the backdrop of our intertwined history, the innumerable instances of my unwavering presence, the love I've extended without condition, how does she summon the resolve to sideline me so decisively? It's a riddle that haunts my every waking hour, amplifying the sense of abandonment. One memory stands out in stark relief, a poignant episode from when Lily was just 14, teetering on the cusp of adolescence. Tom had made a rare commitment to escort her to the school's annual father-daughter dance, an event brimming with anticipation for girls her age. Lily's excitement was palpable. She devoted weeks to scouring shops for the ideal gown, her eyes sparkling with visions of a magical evening. But as the hour approached, Tom failed to materialize. No phone call, no apology, just the crushing void of his no-show. I discovered her later that evening, curled up in her room, tears streaming down her cheeks, her carefully chosen dress rumpled from despair. Acting on pure instinct, I donned my best suit, extended my hand, and whisked her away to the dance floor. We twirled and laughed under the gymnasium lights, her spirits lifting as we created our own joyful narrative. That night, as I leaned in to bid her goodnight, she wrapped her arms around me in a fierce embrace and whispered, "You're the best dad ever." Words that melted into my soul like warm sunlight. How is it possible for such tender, defining moments to fade from her memory, overshadowed by a man who has proven time and again to be unworthy? Another chapter from our shared past underscores the disparity even further. When Lily required braces to correct her smile, a rite of passage for many teens, Tom had grandly vowed to cover the costs, painting pictures of his generosity. Yet, as the appointments loomed, he vanished into thin air, unreachable and unreliable as ever. Without a second thought, I assumed the financial burden, ensuring she received the treatment without delay or hardship. For the full 2 years of her orthodontic journey, I was her chauffeur to every adjustment session, her comforter with soothing treats like creamy ice cream after the discomfort set in, and her jubilant partner in triumph when the day came to remove those metal bands, unveiling her radiant new smile. We marked the occasion with a family dinner, toasting to her perseverance and the brighter days ahead. These vignettes, rich with emotion and effort, now intensify the anguish of our current rift. How can Lily gravitate toward Tom, elevating him above the rock-solid foundation I've provided? I've been the attendee at every pivotal juncture, graduations, heartbreaks, triumphs, while he lingers as a catalog of broken oaths and fleeting intentions. In light of all this, I've arrived at the firm conclusion that a face-to-face dialogue with Lily is imperative. I refuse to allow this festering discord to persist unchecked. Procrastination would only deepen the wounds on both sides. Consequently, I've dispatched a heartfelt message to her, proposing a meeting to hash out the intricacies of her choices, while underscoring that her refusal might compel me to enact some onerous choices concerning my future role in her world and the implications for the wedding gift I once bestowed. My hope clings to the possibility that she'll acquiesce, granting us the space to unpack her motivations and for me to articulate the profound pain her decisions have inflicted. Is it misguided to pursue this direct confrontation, to demand the clarity I so desperately need? Or should I swallow my pride and permit her wedding to proceed unhindered, preserving a fragile peace at the cost of my own unresolved grief? Expanding on these reflections, I find myself delving deeper into the emotional undercurrents that have shaped our family dynamic over the years. From the early days of my marriage to Sarah, when Lily was still navigating the awkward transition of accepting a new paternal figure, I made it my mission to earn her trust incrementally. Small gestures accumulated into milestones, helping with homework late into the night, attending soccer games rain or shine, or simply being there for bedtime stories that evolved into heartfelt talks about dreams and fears. Each interaction was a brick in the wall of our relationship, sturdy and enduring. Tom's sporadic intrusions, often laced with empty assurances, only highlighted my consistency, yet they also sowed seeds of curiosity in Lily's mind. A what-if scenario that I now see has taken root more deeply than I realized. The betrayal stings not just because of the wedding exclusion, but because it unravels the narrative I held dear, that of a blended family rising above past abandonments through mutual loyalty. Sarah's hesitation to mediate adds another layer of isolation. While I understand her divided loyalties, it leaves me feeling like the sole architect of resolution in a crumbling structure. Contemplating the house's fate is particularly thorny. It's not merely property, but a vessel of memories from holiday gatherings to quiet evenings of shared laughter. Reclaiming it might symbolize reclaiming my dignity, yet it risks alienating Lily further, potentially closing the door on reconciliation forever. As I await her response to my message, waves of scenarios play out in my mind. Perhaps she'll explain Tom's charm offensive in detail, revealing letters or calls that painted him as reformed. Or maybe she'll defend her biological pull with raw honesty, admitting the ache of his absence has never fully healed. Whatever emerges, I must prepare my heart for vulnerability, reminding myself that forgiveness isn't weakness but a bridge to possible mending. In the interim, I lean on old friends for counsel, their words a balm against the isolation. One advised journaling these thoughts, transforming pain into prose as a cathartic release. Another suggested professional mediation, a neutral ground where emotions could flow without accusation. Yet beneath the strategy lies a core ache, the fear that Lily's choice reflects a rejection of the life we've co-authored. 15 years isn't a footnote, it's the bulk of her formative experiences, where I was the steady hand guiding her through tempests. The dance incident, for instance, wasn't just a rescue, it was a testament to adaptability, teaching her that family pivots to fill voids. The Braces saga mirrored that resilience, turning potential setback into shared victory. These aren't abstract, they're the sinews binding us. Ultimately, whether she meets or not, I must honor my worth. Seeking confrontation isn't aggression, it's advocacy for the bonds that merit recognition. If she chooses silence, the difficult decisions, about the house, about boundaries, become necessities for self-preservation. The wedding looms as a crossroads, but beyond it lies potential for growth, even if redefined. For now, I hold space for hope amid the hurt, trusting that time, though slow, reveals paths to healing. Even if it means I won't be there? As I await Lily's response, I find myself reflecting on our connection. I remember spending hours in parking lots teaching her how to drive my old sedan. I remember the nights we spent working on her college applications and the pride I felt when she was accepted to her dream school. I remember the days she moved into her dorm, hugging me goodbye with tears in her eyes and whispering, "I'm going to miss you, Dad." These recollections make her current actions even more perplexing. How can she so easily abandon years of love and support? Is the pull of biology truly so powerful, or have I unintentionally failed her as a father figure? I'm also grappling with my feelings toward Tom. Part of me is furious with him for swooping in now, after years of absence, and upsetting our family dynamic. Another part of me is anxious about Lily. What happens if he disappoints her again? Will I have to pick up the pieces once more? As I prepare to confront Lily, I'm filled with mixed emotions. I'm hurt, angry, and bewildered, but deep down I still love her. I want the best for her, but I also need to protect my emotions. A lot has transpired since my last post, and I'm still processing it. Lily finally agreed to meet with me following my ultimatum. We met in a neighborhood coffee shop, which provided a neutral setting for what I expected to be a difficult conversation. As soon as we sat down, I could sense shame in her eyes, but also a stubbornness I'd never seen before. I began by stating how saddened I was by her decision to exclude me from the wedding. I reminded her of the years we'd spent together and how I'd been there for her when Tom wasn't. I told her, "Lily, I have been there for you since you were 10 years old. I helped you with your homework, taught you how to drive, and supported you through college. I have treated you like my own daughter. How can you push me aside now?" Lily's response shocked me. She said, "I know you've done a lot for me, and I appreciate it, but Tom is my real father. He wants to make things right, and I want to give him the opportunity." I couldn't believe what I heard. I questioned her. What about all the times he failed you? What about all those birthdays he missed? What about the child support he never paid? "Does none of this matter?" She replied, "People can change. He's different now. He wants to be a part of my life." I could feel my anger mounting. I told her that it was I who had funded her education and been present for all her life's major moments, and now that she was capable and established in her life, she wanted to ask the man who had abandoned her to lead her down the aisle. Lily then dropped another shocker. She explained, "Tom has agreed to contribute to the wedding expenses. He wants to take responsibility." That was the final straw for me. I told her, "Fine, if Tom wants to be your father now, let him accept all the responsibilities that come with it. I will not be paying for anything related to this wedding, and the house I gifted you should also be considered off the table." Lily's face fell. I could tell she hadn't expected this reaction. She tried to backtrack, claiming she still wanted me in her life, just not at the wedding, but for me, the damage had already been done. I stood up to leave, but first told her, "Lily, I have always considered you my daughter. I believed you felt the same way about me as your father. I guess I was wrong. I hope Tom meets your expectations this time." With that, I left the coffee shop. The drive home was a haze. When I returned home, I informed Sarah what had transpired. She was upset but acknowledged Lily's desire to have her biological father in her life. She did, however, agree that Lily's actions were both painful and unfair. I've since called my lawyer to begin the process of reclaiming the house. It's not about the money, but about the principle. I can't, in good conscience, give such a valuable gift to someone who doesn't consider me family. As I reflect on our talk, I realize how much Lily has changed. The stubborn young woman in the coffee shop seemed so unlike the little girl who would run to me for comfort after a nightmare, or the teenager who proudly showed me her first appless on a difficult math test. I recall the day Lily graduated from high school. As she crossed the stage to receive her diploma, she smiled broadly and gave me a thumbs up. Later, at her graduation party, she hugged me tightly and said, "I couldn't have done this without you, Dad. Where is that Lily now?" I can't help but think about how many times Tom has let Lily down in the past. He had offered to take her camping for her 13th birthday but canceled at the last minute. I ended up taking her instead, showing her how to pitch a tent and roast marshmallows over a campfire. Or the time he promised to help her move into her college dorm but didn't show up. I was there, hauling boxes and helping her paint her new room. Now, Tom swoops in with promises of transformation and financial assistance, and he's suddenly the father she wants by her side. It feels like a slap in the face, after years of supporting her through thick and thin. Part of me wonders if I'm being overly harsh. Should I be more accepting of Lily's wish to establish a relationship with her biological father? But then I remember the pain in Sarah's eyes when Tom abandoned them years ago, and how hard we worked to build a loving family. Lily seems to be throwing it all away on a whim. I understand that some people may think I'm being petty or overreacting by taking back the house and withholding financial support for the wedding. But from my standpoint, Lily has made her choice. Despite our shared history, she chose Tom over me. It hurts, but I must protect myself emotionally and financially. Should I have been more accepting of Lily's desire to reconcile with her biological father? I'm still conflicted, but I believe I need to stand my ground. A lot has changed, and I'm still coming to terms with it. Following the confrontation with Lily, I followed through on my plan to take back the house and withdraw my financial assistance for the wedding. It was a hard time. Sarah was caught between supporting her daughter and recognizing my pain. Our relationship deteriorated, and Sarah eventually decided to leave temporarily to be with Lily during the wedding preparations. The wedding proceeded as scheduled, with Tom leading Lily down the aisle. I wasn't there, of course, but I heard about it through mutual friends. They described the ceremony as beautiful, but there was a palpable sense of tension. For a while, I didn't hear from Lily or Sarah. I immersed myself in my work, hoping to distract myself from the grief of losing my family. I won't lie, it was a lonely and tough period. Then, about 1 week ago, Sarah called me. Her voice was shaky, and I knew she had been crying. She said, "We made a tremendous mistake, we're so sorry." Sarah went on to explain what happened after the wedding. Tom had stayed for about 1 month playing the doting father. He did provide some money for the wedding expenses, as promised, but as the bills piled up and the reality of continued financial responsibility dawned on him, Tom began to withdraw. Within 2 months after the wedding, he vanished, just as he had done years before. He stopped answering calls, avoided Lily and Sarah, and effectively disappeared from their lives once more. Lily was devastated. She honestly believed Tom had changed and wanted to be a part of her life. The realization that he had let her down again, especially after she had put so much effort into including him, was painful. Sarah explained that Lily had been too embarrassed to contact me herself. She felt guilty about how she had treated me and feared I wouldn't want to hear from her. Sarah said, "She sees what a mistake she made. She misses you so badly." I listened to Sarah's words with mixed emotions. Part of me felt vindicated. I had been right about Tom all along. However, a larger part of me felt melancholic. Lily was hurting because her biological father had let her down yet again. I told Sarah, "I appreciate you telling me this, but the damage is done. I can't just pretend the last 6 months haven't happened." Sarah pleaded with me to reconsider and give Lily another chance, but I remained firm. I added, "I'm not saying I'll never forgive Lily, but right now I need time. She made her choice, and now we all have to deal with the consequences." We ended the call on a melancholic note. I told Sarah she was welcome to return whenever she was ready, but I needed more time before I could consider rebuilding a connection with Lily. I am still processing everything that has transpired. Part of me wants to reach out to Lily, comfort her, and assure her that everything will be fine. But another part of me is still hurting and resentful. I know some of you believe I'm being too harsh, that I should forgive and forget, but trust is a fragile thing that, once broken, is difficult to restore. I need time to heal, and to decide whether and how I can move forward from this. For now, I'm focusing on myself. I'm seeing a therapist to work through my emotions, and I'm trying to rebuild my life without Lily in it. It's not easy, but I believe it's necessary. Thank you for your continued support throughout this journey. Your suggestions and insights have been invaluable. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I'm preparing to face it with courage and dignity.